Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. I hope you've all had a nice holiday break. In today's video we are going to paint the Grinch, but we're not just going to paint the Grinch, because if you've been watching my channel this month, you'll know that for the last 3 weeks we have been doing art projects with glitter. So to make things more interesting, add a bit of a challenge and a lot of sparkle, we are going to attempt to paint the Grinch with glitter. If you'd like to see any of the other glittery art projects I mentioned, then I will put a link to the playlist about now in the card above. And if you like this video, please consider subscribing to my channel for more arty fun. Don't forget to hit the bell icon as well if you'd like to be notified every time I upload a new video. So let's glitter the Grinch. For this glittery Grinch art today, I'm painting on a 10 by 8 inch canvas, but don't worry if you don't have one of these, you can use a piece of card instead. All the items I use I will list in the description box below. But the canvas I'm using today was really inexpensive, which is great, but it didn't have any primer on it, which provides a nice surface to paint on and stops the paint seeping through the canvas itself. So I had to paint on a coat of gesso first before I began. This is pretty gloopy stuff, but it does dry quickly and goes on quite smoothly. But if you haven't got any of this and you need to prime your canvas, you can use a coat or two of acrylic paint instead. So once this has dried, you then need to draw or transfer your sketch onto your canvas. Just a simple outline will do, as we're going to cover up most of him with glitter anyway. Before I began with the paint and glitter, I decided to put in the Grinch's eyes using a black waterproof fine liner so they wouldn't get lost in the huge amounts of glitter I was planning on using. So my general aim for this glitter painting was to cover as much of the Grinch in glitter as possible. Well, I thought I'd leave the eyes free of glitter as they are quite small to glitter accurately and I wanted them to stand out. So I just added a dark green acrylic paint straight out of the tube and applied it using a small round paintbrush. For the whites of the Grinch's eyes, I used a mixture of white paint and mixed this with a very small amount of black to add some shadowed areas to the corners of his eyes. Now before we begin adding glitter, let me just tell you that often before I record a video that is likely to be a bit unpredictable or challenging, I like to have a bit of a practice first. I usually have an image in my head of how I would like the finished piece to look. Today I had in mind the idea that I was going to mix my coloured glitters together to create a smooth gradient going from gold to light green and green to darker green. I was going to shade with glitter. The end result would be a seamless blend of coloured glitter. Well, the problem with this is that A, I often have quite a vivid imagination, and B, I didn't have time to practice any different glitter blending techniques as I've been a bit busy over the last few days. Having said that though, the method I've used in previous videos seemed to work, just without the added challenge of blending or mixing two different colours to try and create shading. So using my acrylic paint as both a coloured base for my glitter as well as a means to get it to stick to the canvas, I began in the centre of the Grinch's face and worked in sections. Acrylic paint dries quite quickly, so my method is to paint a small section at a time, add glitter, tap off the excess onto a paper plate and repeat the process. I start from the middle of the drawing and gradually work my way out to try and stop glitter going where you don't want it when you're tapping off the excess. I also like to use cheap makeup brushes to dust off any glitter and neaten up any edges. My thinking was that I would use a yellow-green paint mix underneath the lightest areas of the Grinch's face and cover that with gold glitter, and use a darker green paint as a base for the green glitter to try and get a sort of gradient going between the lightest and darkest areas. In practice though, it just wasn't that easy. Glitter is not easy to control. Rather than the smooth colour transitions I was after, the result was rather more stripy. Not to be defeated though, I set about trying to mix the two different colours together a bit more with my dry makeup brush, and that did seem to help. So next I moved on to the Grinch's eyebrows. For these I chose not to do any colour blending this time and just went in with a neat green straight from the tube. Now you may have noticed that I gave up using the sprinkle shaker top on the green glitter, so now every time I tried to apply a small amount of glitter in a controlled way to avoid waste, half the tube of glitter came out at once, but at least working over a paper plate I can reuse it later. Once the glitter was evenly applied, I could then tap off the excess again and making sure to tip my canvas away from the mouth area I'd already glittered. And I did really like how the eyebrows turned out, and even though my first attempt at blending wasn't brilliant, it was very sparkly. Working on the Grinch's forehead next, and this was another challenge because there were areas of light and dark here, which gives him that all-important Grinchy frown. I needed to work quite quickly on this area too to make sure that the paint didn't dry before I added the glitter, so I tried using a flat 1-inch brush to start with to cover the area more quickly. I used my makeup brush to try and blend the gold and green together a bit, like I did with the nose and mouth area, but I couldn't help thinking his head looked a bit like a Christmas tree with tinsel around it. In any case, I was having a lot of fun, and that's the main thing. So the next section to do was the right side of the Grinch's face, and for this section I kept it pretty simple, just using green paint as a base and solid green glitter on top. And blending aside, I was really pleased with the detail you can quite easily get, especially around the fluffy outside of his face, because the glitter sticks really well to the paint and gives a really even coverage. And as long as you tilt your board away from the areas that already glittered, you can maintain some sort of control with the glitter. It's just not as easy with the blended areas. So that's the top area of his head done. Now all that's left to do is his mouth and the bottom part of his face. And for his mouth I used the same technique, just using a small amount of red paint and then applying red glitter. And again tipping my board away from the rest of the glitter so the red didn't spread. To minimise any spreading of any glitter into unwanted areas, you can always wait in between adding different colours for the different paints to dry. But if you use the technique tipping the board away from the glittered areas that you've already done, you can minimise this without having to wait for those areas to dry. So now we're on the home stretch and just the neck to do. And lastly, I decided to go around the whole of the outside with a glittery gold gel pen. And I thought that would just help pull it all together and give him a nice glow all around. So I think if I was to try this again, I might experiment with different techniques to get smoother results with blending different coloured glitters together. I'm not sure if using different coloured acrylic paint underneath the glitter made that much difference, or whether I could have just done my base coat all the same colour green to simplify the process. I could have also experimented with pre-mixing glitter together first, before applying it onto the canvas, but that would have been quite time consuming and might have taken the fun out of it a bit. So he's not the perfectly blended, smooth, gradient Grinch I pictured in my head at the start, but he is very glittery and this has been such a lot of fun. I hope you've enjoyed the video and maybe it's inspired you to have a go yourself. If you've enjoyed it, please give this video a thumbs up, comment and subscribe to my channel. And just in case you were wondering how I prevent glitter from going absolutely everywhere whilst I'm working, I don't. Here's a glimpse of my desk after glittering the Grinch. Well, that's it for today, folks. Thank you so much for watching and thank you all for the wonderful support you've given me on this channel over the past year. I'm really looking forward to making 2019 even better, so stay tuned and I'll see you in the next video. Bye!